Happy Monday. Sorry about my delay. We have the Mondays here. So welcome all of you joining. I'm very excited to report some major news about the coronavirus, updates, information that will help you and your families choose healthy ways to manage and live within this pandemic, because that is what we are doing. We are living in and amongst a pandemic. It's not going away. It is not decreasing here in the US. It's actually on the surge. So I'm going to report news about that. I want to welcome all of you joining. For my friends watching on Instagram, my battery, for some reason, it's not charging very well. So I more than likely will, unless my battery picks up here, I might have to have you transition over to YouTube. So just stay tuned. YouTube is always where it's housed permanently, but now Instagram TV is where it's picking up. So at any rate, I want to share a whole bunch of news, but most importantly, major news. I'm really excited to report that my full script store, my main supplement-based store, where we have 2 warehouses on the East and West Coast, and we're always shipping out products Monday through Saturday. We have our semi-annual mega sale. We've got 25% off all supplements. So I'm going to cover 5 items today after I go through the news that are items that I think would help all of you, depending on where you're at in your life and your health conditions, but definitely can help equip your body to manage inflammation, lower cytokine storm, minimize blood clotting, a lot of the risk factors related and associated with COVID. So I do hope you will check out our store, and definitely that is the best way to support our business as we are in COVID times, and I'm not seeing folks in person or virtually at this point with Gabriel home this summer. So welcome all of you. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and let's dig into some news. The world is at 8.5 million cases. The US is at 2.3 million. Brazil's at 1,086,000 cases. Russia's at 592,000 cases. India's at 426,000 cases. Yesterday alone was the single largest day of cases across the board for the world. And I'm going to dig into a whole bunch of details. First, I want to thank Terrence Trower, who gave me a smiley emoji with the sunglasses. I love that. One of my good friends, Jeff, always put that as his emoji. So thank you for 99 cents on the live super chat. Super chat is available. So thank you. I am grateful. So yesterday was the single largest day, increases across the board in multiple countries and multiple states. So we saw just in the US alone, an increase of over 30,000 cases, actually 36,617. Our average a few weeks ago was in the 20s. We have really spiked. We have 23 states in the US who are on the increase, surging. So surge is going to be the word of the week. 23 states are surging. 10 of those states have surged with 50% plus increases. Significant number. So let me list those states and comment down below. Let me know if you live in those states: Arizona, California, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Washington, West Virginia, and Wyoming. 12 states have had some of the highest cases in surge in the last 3 days. I'm going to list those 12. So out of the 23, these 12 are the ones really, if you are in this state, you should be really honing in on the staying at home, social distancing, minimizing contact, and for sure, most importantly, wearing a mask, wearing eye protection, practicing good hygiene, and definitely minimizing your contact. 12 states that have had extensive increases: Florida, Texas, Utah, California, South Carolina, Nevada, Georgia, Missouri, Montana, Arizona, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. Okay, so let's dig into some of those states. So I had mentioned, I think on Friday or Saturday, that California was probably going to overtake New Jersey in the amount of cases. Well, they have really overtaken them. So it's now number 1 state with the most recorded cases is New York at 387. On the major increase, surging, is California at 173,824. They had the most cases in a single day yesterday. They had the most hospitalizations in a single day in state history yesterday as well. So they had over 4,500 cases in just a day. New Jersey's at 169. Illinois is at 136. Texas, wow, big changes in Texas. They are at 111, 601. Texas on Saturday was at 103. That's like 2 days. So 2 days they have lodged over 8,000 cases. 12 bars in Texas, all over the state, have had their liquor licenses suspended because they are not putting in place the right safety measures and protocols. And so this is something I'm seeing more trends and more feeds on Facebook and questions from all of you. If you are out and about and you see a company, a business, not adhering to the safety guidelines, there are states, there are local municipalities, there's the Department of Health in each county, and then also the state, that are taking calls and investigating businesses that are putting people's safety at risk. And it is important that we have to do that. We have to report these businesses. Part of it is there's a lot of confusion, and maybe it'll just be some guidance for the business. Some might intentionally be doing this, and they need to have some accountability. So that's just an FYI for all of you. If you are witnessing it, it's frustrating you, place calls your local Department of Health, your mayor's office, and then sometimes there's county code enforcement, and then also your state Department of Health. Massachusetts, I'm just going to keep running down. Massachusetts is at 107,000. Florida, whoa, Nelly, they are at 97,291 cases. You guys know this is my COVID. These are my notes for every day's show. Okay, so I'm almost done with my notebook. I've got a really cute notebook coming for our next sequences of shows. But I'm going to reference back to Saturday. Saturday, Florida was at, let's see, where were they? Oh my God, did I not record them? I think they were at 80. Let me see the day before. Okay, so on Friday, Florida was at 85,000 cases. They're at 97 now. So that's like Saturday, Sunday. That doesn't even include, that would be Friday, full day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3 days. They went from 85,000 to 97,291. Here are some challenges with Florida. You guys know I'm really tuned into them. So every day in the last week, they've had increases incrementally every day by 2 to 4%. So 2 to 4% increase, 2 to 4% increase day over day over day. They had one of their largest days on Sunday. The problem here is with Florida. So it's not with all of these states, it's not about more testing. Most important, it's the percentage of positives coming back. Florida's the positive percentage or percentage of positive cases actually coming back positive has increased. They're in the double digits of 12%. So 12% of all individuals who take a test are testing positive. That's no good. That is not a good number. And in fact, Florida, many local counties are starting to employ social distancing, more social distancing requirements, but most importantly, the mask wearing is now required. And we might see this also starting to happen. Some other states to note, Pennsylvania's at 81,000, Michigan's at 67, Georgia's at 64,000, Maryland's at 64, Virginia's at 57. Virginia's had some spikes. North Carolina's at 52, Arizona's at 52. Arizona's definitely moved up. They were in the 30s a little while ago. Tennessee, this is really big. Memphis today is I believe they're voting on it. They're gathering today. They're going to be looking at returning. They're going to go back to phase 1. So I think they're in phase 2 now. They're seeing too many spikes. They're going to go back to more social distancing and rolling back the reopening process. So as far as I know, That's the only city at this point who is going to be rolling back the reopening. We might see this happen a little bit more frequently. Now, I also wanted to highlight, so we know yesterday was really the worst day yet in COVID history here, not just in the US, but also in the world. We're seeing in Hong Kong, they have added a few more cases. They've added 30 more cases to the growing number of cases that they've seen as China's reopened. They have 1,162 cases of positive COVID cases. They're linking that all to imported cases, folks who've traveled in from other countries, and there's an infection once they get off the plane, get tested. Now, Germany, I reported a few days ago, Germany, there was a meat packing plant. They quite a few number of cases. Now the whole city is in lockdown, quarantined 700 people, and they're having a challenge with these quarantined people. 500 have stayed in quarantine, 200 have escaped quarantine. And so they're looking at having some legal ramifications. And, it's like hurting, human behaviors. It's like hurting cats and hurting toddlers and young children. I don't know if any of you feel like that, but it definitely is like, hello, just wear your mask and social distance. Why is this so hard to stay in quarantine? We can't do that. Okay, so I'm sporting my Mama Bear mug today with my Yogi stress relief tea, lots of passion flower in it, which, by the way, I've added 2 passion flower vines to my garden. So I'm hoping to tincture and dry the flowers for tea when that gets kicking. Okay, so more news regarding kind of things within the COVID world. So the CDC is going to be releasing, they haven't yet, I checked this morning, it's not out yet, but at some point, I'm hoping this week, they're going to release some additional new updated guidelines regarding protection and public health safety, i.e. mask wearing. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be relying on scientific research and running their own research about how not only masks are protective of each other, but they're going to dig into specific research about how masks protect individuals. So that's the big kind of argument. Well, it doesn't protect me. It's all about protecting everybody else. And, the selfish individual doesn't want to do that. They don't want to wear something to protect somebody else. But now we might be able to tap into the ego with some scientific research that it actually does protect ourselves. So I'm hoping that comes out sooner than later so that we can see some significant changes in terms of public behavior and even the philosophies around mask wearing. I want to highlight something that they're calling now chronic COVID. So this is kind of a not obviously a clinical term, but they're referencing the nature of COVID and the infection running a lot longer than most people feel like it should be running, or that they would recover in 2 weeks and they'd be fine. That is actually not proving to be the case. The length of time that folks are even on the milder side dealing with recovery, it's 6 to 7 weeks that the symptoms really kind of begin to take a change from being symptoms to not. Even when they're testing negative and they're not showing that they're contagious, there's still evidence of viral fragments and even dead virus within their body that still causes symptoms like heavy, inability to breathe well, congestion, chills, the fever. So that is really interesting to I think we'll see more people digging into this, but just know that COVID specifically lasts a longer period of time and it takes a lot longer to recover. And so folks that go out for, 2 weeks of sick time, they might not fully be functional until several months later. We might also get more communication just by witnessing famous individuals coming down with this. So there was a report over the weekend, D.L. Hughley, who is a really funny comedian. He had a show in Tennessee where he fainted. He actually passed out on stage from dehydration and exhaustion, and apparently he says he wasn't symptomatic, but more than likely he was. He just wasn't registering it. But he's tested positive for COVID. Now, let's see. The other thing I want to highlight, some really interesting stuff in Britain. They've rolled out a let's see, what is it called? I can't even read my own handwriting, but it is a no swab. That's what it's called. No swab saliva test. So instead of going back to the pharynx or really deep in the throat, or, how we're seeing folks having the swab up the nose, they have rolled out in a trial period, 4 weeks, of a home-based saliva-based test. It should take 48 hours to process, and they're going to run about 33 to 40,000 individuals through this in southeastern England. And what they're looking at is mostly healthcare providers and their family. So they're kind of targeting folks that might have greater exposure. I do have to make a note of this. There was an Italian chief of infectious diseases in Italy who basically came out and said, not proven he didn't have any data to back it up, but he's just made a statement that COVID might just go away. And we are not seeing any evidence of that. Italy hasn't seen any evidence of that. And for sure, Brazil, US, all these spikes, we're not seeing that. Fiji, if any of you guys have traveled to Fiji, have any future plans to go to Fiji, just know Fiji has employed a travel bubble. And so they are going to only allow travel from Fiji to New Zealand and Australia and vice versa. So it's a little bubble contained. They feel safe that those New Zealand and Australian nationals won't bring COVID because they have lower cases. But I think we might start to see this pop up where it's just very similar how if you have family members that were raised quarantine, socializing with them is a lot safer than folks that are way more engaged and out there with possible exposure. Same thing in the travel world. Europe, so the EU, across all of Europe, they are actually now hiring and training medics and other medical professionals to be prepared for the second wave. So they're already gearing up and anticipating there will be a second wave in Europe, and they're going to be more armed and literally equipped with teams of folks that will know how to handle this. So I think that's really interesting. We don't have that perspective yet. We're still in the surge of the first wave. The CDC did release, and this really got buried on Friday and Saturday, but they did release that there was a federal review by HHS, the Health and Homeland Security. I think it's so HHS reviewed the early test kits that were coming out of the CDC, and they have determined that they were contaminated, and that there were some false positives or that they were not being performed in the right way. We kind of heard that several months ago, but this was something that now has been confirmed. I don't know what the ruling or measurement is, like what now, what's the requirement? Is it just, okay, yes, they were off. So that's kind of the news for the COVID world. So in between this news, I want to answer some questions because I'm seeing a lot of questions, and it looks like my phone's now charging. So let me go to YouTube. I don't want to touch it because I feel like I might mess it up. Okay, so, and good morning, Pat. Pat's on. I want to thank Pat for her moderation. She's so fantastic. And if you guys are new here, I hope you hit the follow and subscribe, especially on YouTube. If you hit follow, do please like this video on Instagram and YouTube. That helps the algorithm. It also, if you are new and you subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube and click on all notifications. When I post to my stories and on our community tab, you'll get notified of that. And every time I go live, it'll ping you or send you an email. Okay, Susan H. She said, good morning. I had my blood work back from the lab. My calcium level was up 10.5. I'm not on any supplement for calcium. Okay, let's keep it to COVID and specific to this information. It's hard for me to, I don't know everybody's case. I just can't get into like a single line lab result. Carolyn, RE, asymptomatic. If you have COVID, can you spread it if you are asymptomatic? Yes. Originally it was yes. Has that changed? No, it has not changed. Yes, you can. What is changing is the definition of asymptomatic. So like D.L. Hughley might be an example. He said he had no known symptoms. But if they CT his lungs, if they take his pulse ox, more than likely his pulse ox was really low. He might have had high blood pressure. Not everybody's monitoring those daily signs that indicate that that's a symptom. And so also blood sugar, we'll see blood sugar spikes. So I have to kind of communicate this in a really kind of basic sense. One, we have asymptomatic. They have no sort of symptoms, but their body still gets hit. This we do know. I've reported that last week. We know that lung changes occur in asymptomatic cases. We also know that their immune system takes a major hit and it weakens their immune system for a period of time after. That's asymptomatic. Now, we have, I think, referenced the asymptomatics as, the asymptomatic as being pre-symptomatic. There's a big distinction. What we're now starting to see is that a lot of asymptomatic folks are just really pre-symptomatic, and either way, you're more contagious. And so regardless of asymptomatic or symptomatic, it becomes critical that those individuals quarantine, like Germany having this issue of keeping 200 out of 700 people in a lockdown because they're like, they might be asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic and thinking they're totally fine, but they're contagious. Luna Blue Creations. I'm seeing more people without masks. Yes, that seems to be the case. Sharon says, I had the virus for 3 weeks with symptoms and then weakness and fatigue for 3 more weeks. So she's verifying that. We've got Holly in Mercer County, Kentucky. Lisa, our mayor of Prescott, Arizona, gave us a live update on the 18th of June and said we have the lowest numbers in all of Arizona and to keep up the good work. Okay. What I would do is I would cross-check that. I think we now have to question everything. I think we cannot rely on mayors and governors to really be cognizant of our safety. We're seeing politics ahead of public safety. And I'm not going political. I'm just making that as a statement I think we all can agree on. But at the end of the day, check your numbers and check that, reference that, cross-check, dig in, act like a reporter and reference that. Because we're seeing in Florida, they were saying the same thing. Ron DeSanto, I think is his name. He came out, I think, Friday or Saturday and said, oh, well, we're having a surge in cases because we're testing more. Well, then it became really obvious that that just wasn't the case. And the percentages of positives had increased. That says a lot more about the virus than the number of tests and number of positives. So he started to backtrack on that. So, and also Florida is not reporting the true numbers. So the current reporting from Department of Health is 97,000. But if you look on the database that pulls from private labs, it's over 108,000. And that was last night. I didn't even check it this morning. So we know that some of the numbers and data is not 100%. That's why I think it's important that we cross-check them. Sharon says, what stops someone from flying to New Zealand then to Fiji? I don't know. I mean, I know every country has different requirements. I think if you flew to New Zealand, you would, if you got off the plane and got onto New Zealand soil and just weren't in the airport, you would probably have to have a 14-day quarantine. And then you could fly on to Fiji. If you fly through the airport, I know that's a little bit of a different scenario. But their cases, I mean, it's not eradicated, but they've done really well in limiting this. But that's what Hong Kong is seeing. They're seeing the impact of the traveling being their reason for cases. And that might also be some of the spikes. I mean, think about like summer vacations. Where do people go, in the summertime? So people go to the national parks, Arizona, Colorado. They've got some national parks there. Montana, so we're seeing potential travel, like Florida's a big vacation area. We might be seeing people crossing state lines because of summer travel, summer vacation. And that's what's bringing it in, just like spring break was the source of a lot of the epicenter, at least in Miami, for sure, Miami-Dade. Christine, I heard that comment from Italy. I figured it was good to be true, but would wait and see what Dr. M would say about it. That's cute. Yeah, so he is just not totally founded, and he's getting a lot of flack for that statement. Let's see. That's wild about the test, Lori P. Pow, good morning. Let's see. We've got Kay Jefferson on. Let's see. Futuristic. I still like the name. Pat Wagner, Detective Pat Wagner. Okay, Lisa, my question. If a person feels unusually sick, but tests won't be done if one isn't super sick, do people just stay home? Yes. So the best thing to do is to check with your local physician, even call your local hospital. Now, almost every county has a COVID hotline. So just Google COVID hotline in your county. Ironically, on, I think, Thursday, Gabriel and I went out. We did some porch pickups of some things I'm gathering for his outdoor mud kitchen. And I had my GPS map on, and COVID testing locations showed up on my map. So you can even go to your Google Maps and type in COVID test. You might just be able to drive through. So Lisa, I would check that out. But there are some states and counties where you don't even have to demonstrate illness. So just know that. Oh, David Lanigan, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. I appreciate that. That's so sweet. And Lisa Candler, $3. Thumbs up. Thank you. Lorena Galen, so much for heat supposedly slowing down the spread. Yeah, and that was unproven. It is unlike the flu. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, you guys. This was something they came out from, the early beginning, kind of predicting this is not your flu. And that is why we have to have a different expectation. And the challenge here, I'll just go back to what I say almost every live. This is a novel virus. We don't know. We've never experienced this. Our body has no sort of understanding. The digital mapping, when our immune system goes into red alert, it doesn't recognize it. There's nothing like this virus. And so that's a challenge. That's a challenge in the medical world in terms of how to treat it. It's a challenge as a patient. How do we know when we're sick? What does illness mean when people are walking around texting and talking and exercising and they have pulse ox in the 40s and 50s? That's abnormal. This is a very unique virus. And because of that, we still don't have a lot of data. Christine said, this is horrible news. When I get sick, I have weeks or months of downtime, bedridden. At times, my PEM is finally shortened with diet and immune support. Good. 37 blue thumbs ups, but 145. Oh, Jenny from the block. Thank you. So everybody, please give me a thumbs up if you're liking this content. I'm grateful. Lona says, too many people congregating together without precautions, acting as if COVID never happened. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a kind of amnesia going on. And yet we're seeing today, this should be front and center. We've got to be really, really diligent and vigilant. And so what we control is our lives, our families' lives, and communicate with all your friends and family. Feel free to hit the share button, post this on your socials so they can hear at least the data. Because what I find is that it's piecemealed, all these tidbits, but nothing's put together in just this one kind of COVID news update. That's why I try and do this for you guys. Good. Christine says, I refused to attend church yesterday, went online, safety first. Absolutely. Nina, oops, sorry guys. Okay, Nina says, Florida's still moving forward and reopening parks despite the increase in COVID cases. It's all about money, shaking my head. Yeah, there's definitely an economic, the one thing to understand with Florida, we got rocked in 08, 09. I mean, really bad. We still finally, I think we were recovering in 2014, 2015. It took a while. And there's still that sting in that world of the economic crisis. And Florida is so built on tourism. We're service industry focused. There's some pockets of, financial industry, but really it's very much a service, travel, tourism oriented industry. All the coastlines, we rely on spring break and snowbirds and seasons. And they're freaking out. I mean, I'm still a part of my entrepreneur business club, my networking club. People are freaking out. And it's one of these things, people are weighing economy versus public safety. And unfortunately, public safety is not winning, as we see. Okay, so Futuristic says, I don't usually watch these medical channels, but I enjoy this one. You explain it in a way a primitive mind can understand. Thanks, Futuristic. That's very generous. Lorianne, it's been tough, me owning my own travel business. Oh my goodness. And losing a ton of money because of people telling the truth about travel. Do not travel. Yes. Okay. And that's very challenging. What I would say, Lorianne, you just as a business owner, I would look at how you can pivot, how you can take this as an opportunity to build relationships, even though they might not be traveling now. And maybe even looking at like we used to have a guy on the news that would, and this is so unsolicited. I'm sorry, I'm going to put my lip gloss on too. What I would do is I would pivot and see how maybe you could do a blog or social post about like one tank trips, where in the car you can travel and maybe have some local relationships there. It might be something to think about. So just, the pivot, the business pivot's definitely helpful. I know that's not, that's very basic of an answer, but, there's definitely, I always feel like there's opportunity in everything. Even in a downturn, there's an opportunity if we can pivot. Okay, so ICU 2009 BA, Texas is getting the African dust with some COVID-19 symptoms. Stay indoors. What is African dust? I don't know what that is. Okay, Lorianne from Miami, if someone has a cough, how can they know if it's allergy or COVID? That's an excellent question. So I would take your pulse ox. If you have high blood pressure, start monitoring your blood pressure. If you have diabetes or even feel like energy lulls, start assessing your blood sugar levels. And if you have any doubt, if it's like I always have seasonal allergies certain times of this season. So I know when I have a little bit more of the runny, itchy, runny nose, itchy eyes, just kind of assess that. And if you've been in lockdown and you're starting to kind of feel like this, maybe it's, your house might have a little bit more dust, or you want to look at maybe some filtration. I actually want to show you, I ordered a whole bunch of plants online. I've got this from my office. How cute is that? Delivered perfectly fine, so I didn't go out. But those are like plants that clean the air. So that might be something to think about. The beaches in RI, Rhode Island, were mobbed on Father's Day. Oh, I'm sure. Oh my gosh, this is a big time. We used to go down to, let's see. We used to go to, I can't remember the city where all the big houses are. Newport. My friends and I would go to Newport every weekend. The Cape and Newport. Okay, so Shelby says, any data on new vegans, vegetarians, raw vegans, or 100% plant-based people in degrees of COVID? No, unfortunately, we don't have that much info. Doesn't really, your diet, while it can help improve health conditions and limit it, it doesn't have an overwhelming degree of impact on like type 1 diabetes and the some of the genetic aspects, if as long as they are anti-inflammatory, that can be beneficial. But that's not always the case with plant-based or vegan. Paradise Save, our beaches in the Bahamas are closed until further notice. That's good. Sharon, we ate at a restaurant at outdoor tables in the parking area. Waiters wearing masks, social distancing. They did a good job and well organized in keeping everyone safe, while everyone enjoyed seafood by the sea. That's great. Africa dust, is like a tropical storm for Africa, but it's full of dust. Oh, yeah, because of the heat there, Texas. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I was unfamiliar. It's actually called Sahara dust. Okay. I did not know that. I just learned something. I'll have to, you know what? That might be a little inspiration for Gabriel's mommy camp today. Every day we learn something new. Like he was telling me about friction the other day. Okay, so I want to highlight. I get a lot of questions from you all about what should I take? Like if I just narrow down, like what would you recommend, especially during this time? So I'm sharing with you 5 items, which by the way, all of these are in full script. And by the way, we have a super sale. So if you want to take advantage of 25% off vitamins, supplements, your multi-minerals, protein bars, protein powder, probiotics, fish oils, everything that I recommend, full script across the board. It's you if you have an account, just log in. If you don't have an account, there's a link down below and it'll give you open access. It's a 2-day sale, today and tomorrow only. So if you are a regular consumer of mine, stock up. Like if you buy Lymph Stim, buy a lot of bottles so you can have that on demand. It gives you 25% off. Usually I have a 10% off auto, so you're getting 15% off extra. Super sale. Yay, we love super sale. So let's start with the first one I recommend for just kind of reducing what we know are some of the underlying COVID conditions. And Pat says, who doesn't love a sale? Totally. I love sales. Inflame X is my go-to to help reduce the inflammatory response within the body. It has a combination of certain ingredients like white willow bark. That's a natural derivative of aspirin. That's a pain reliever plus an anti-inflammatory. Any of my autoimmune patients, these are very helpful. Autoimmunity, inflammation, joint swelling, joint pain, any type of pain, swelling. That can be organ, glandular. It can be soft tissue. So it has white willow bark, turmeric, it has bromelain, it has Indian frankincense gum resin powder. That's a real potent. Frankincense is great for helping to move fluid. It's a lymph promoter too. Yucca root and ginger root. And you could take 2 capsules twice a day. That's a daily dose, morning and evening. So any of my folks with the intense autoimmunity of lupus and MS and rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, any of the, neuropathy, post-surgical pain, swelling, that's great. White willow bark is fantastic. So Inflame X, I have links down below, but all you have to do is go into the full script store. There'll be links down below to do that. So you set up a patient account. Some of the items are, everybody can purchase. Others, sometimes I have to script because they're a little bit more, they have to be guided by a clinician or a physician. So now the other thing, if you have any history of heart disease, current or in your family, like that is one of the family genetics that can't get away from. This is a wonderful supplement capsule. I take 2 in the evenings, and it has a really intense amount of L-citrulline, which helps boost the body's capacity to build or create nitric oxide, so NO. So these 2 pills, they're there's a pink hue. It's hard to see here, but they're a little pinky. This has the ability to help support your nitric oxide production. It improves blood flow. So vein issues, vascular insufficiency, congestive heart failure, arterial sclerosis, concerns about heart attack, heart risk, stroke risk. This is fantastic. Very beneficial. Take on an empty stomach at night. Love it. Stephanie says, would Inflame X be helpful for frozen shoulder? My husband has frozen shoulders. Turmeric with black fruit extract helped for a while. It could. With a frozen shoulder, he's got some scar tissue. So I would do the Inflame X, and I would grab a product called Cerisha. And I'm just going to type in you can search. So when you get into full script, you can search the catalog. And I actually have categories. So I've recently added Black-owned supplement brands or Black-owned brands so you can support our community. People of color also we're adding. But check in Cerisha. I'd want to add in for any type of scarring. And a lot of times frozen shoulder has scar tissue that needs to be broken up. Sometimes I manipulate it. So I'd have him doing the Inflame X twice a day. The Cerisha is a proteolytic enzyme that helps break up scar tissue, empty stomach at night as well. And then I would have him foam rolling his back, but really focusing on just the top of the shoulders all the way down past the shoulder blades. And there's just a lot of connective tissue and scarring that can be a factor. But you can unfreeze a frozen shoulder. That's easy. What's the name of the heart stuff? Okay, so the heart stuff is called nitric oxide ultra. And when this wraps and goes on IGTV, I'll include all the links down below. But all you have to do is go into my Fullscript store. Okay, now let's see. The third one. Oh gosh, I love this. Okay, so I've talked a lot about this from day one when we started to learn the microclotting and the mega clotting from the cytokine storm that was happening in COVID patients. We started to talk about vitamin K2, and this has the menaquinone, and that's -7. So it's usually MK2, M7. This is fantastic for anybody who is dealing with blood clotting, blood clots, who's had DVT, might run the risk of stroke. Sometimes stroke is part of the metabolic syndrome imbalances. We see that very much consistent with women who've had polycystic ovarian syndrome, history of high levels of estrogen, family histories, high blood pressure sometimes will get in the category of causing a stroke, but also elevated triglyceride levels, high cholesterol. The vitamin K2 is something that can be beneficial if you find you bruise easily. So one of the big indicators for a lot of my women that I work with is they say, I have bruises all over my body. And like, I just accidentally, dinged myself. I was making the bed and I, hit my shin or my elbow, and suddenly you have a bruise for days. That's an indicator you have a deficiency in K2. Women, if you are cycling and you have clotting and you have really intense painful periods or have endometrial fibers, endometriosis or fibroids that are causing intense bleeding, this deficiency can be a factor. So this just not only is supportive of our vascular channels, but anything that's blood related. It helps reduce the kind of density of our blood and helps reduce the clotting. So it can break down some of the fibrins that make our blood sticky or thick. And so I've had a lot of people say, I've been diagnosed with thicker, sticky blood. What does that mean? And so MK2 or the K2, it's amazing. I love this. So this is by Douglas Labs. There's a link down below. This is 25% off. So, and honestly, the way we work at Fullscript is especially now, we've been so busy with everybody ordering online. Most of us are not seeing patients anymore. And so everything's all virtual. We're getting shipments from the manufacturer straight off and we're shipping right to you guys. The expiration, like this, I got 2 months ago. The expiration was 7/21. So you're going to find that if you, and I usually run, let's see, this is 60. I usually take 2 of these a day. Some people just need 1. I just do 2 because I can tell I was bruising a little bit more. But this lasts me about a month. And so you can stock up. And if we end up running out of stock, because that happens a lot, I will recommend, and all of a sudden, like, I can't get it. Put it in your shopping cart and they will still ship it to you. And so just know and I work closely every week with my rep, who has them making sure we've got all the right supplies, that everything's okay, customer service levels, all that good stuff. Now, my fourth one, and this is for all of us dealing with stress. So raise your hand, give me a little emoji, hit the little emoji button and hit the natural resource emoji. I'm going to hit it now. That's me raising my hand. If you feel like you're dealing with stress of being stuck in quarantine, economic stress, job stress, family stress, emotional stress, mental stress, physical stress, internal body stress, health stress, we need the Adrenal Drops. And this is from one of my favorite brands. This is a very specific brand. What they do best are their homeopathics. So I am very much honed into homeopathy. That's a big part of my naturopathic practice. And I've studied homeopathy. This is really critical. I'm seeing so many emojis. I love all the natural health resource emojis. We're going to put some new emojis on there too. My gal Ella's worked on a really cute one. So the Adrenal Drops, friends, this is from Professional Formulas. There's a link down below. But even if you type in Adrenal Drops, this is a remedy that is targeted to deal with these symptoms. lethargy, lack of energy, sadness, anxiousness, or decreased ability to handle stress. And it has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 different homeopathic blends in it. I don't know if you guys can see, but like I'm on the very end of this. So I'm going to have to renew. I'm placing an order today as well. So these are the little, this is about a dosage size. So this would be about 40 drops. And you can give this to children as well, 12 and older. And you just drop it under your tongue like that and kind of hold. It doesn't taste bad. And you just hold it and then swallow. I do this anytime I feel stressed out, usually 3 times a day. I actually have these 2 things, my 5th one. I have them right here at my desk. So I try and manage my stress. So, you know, when we're dealing with stress, it's not just, you know, dealing with the emotions or the mental. We have to deal with all aspects. And homeopathy allows us to use some very good, potent properties to balance all of those aspects, the mind, the emotions, the physical, all of that. And I really do feel like this is one of the more powerful stress relievers that we can take. You can do cortisol testing. You can get really specific about your numbers, and then that becomes a whole other category. But just for everybody, just standardize, this qualifies as highly beneficial. Homeopathy does not have any contraindications with other drugs or herbs, and so everybody can take it. You know, the potency in terms of how well it works, it depends on each person, but I know I'm doing really well when I'm taking my homeopathics, and I can tell a difference when I do versus when I don't. Okay, Carrie says, this is amazing info. Thanks for sharing. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. God bless you for sharing the gift He has placed in you. I appreciate that. Okay, so, oh, you don't have the special emojis. Oh, I bet you have to update. We've had those emojis in our little natural health resource emojis. I have to figure out how to do it on Instagram. Apparently you can. I just don't know the logistics there. But yeah, we love our emojis. Now my last and final, and this, I call this my Teflon. This is a spray. So, you know, in normal, like everyday circumstances, people might just think it's like a mouth freshener, and you do a few sprays. I aim for my tongue. So I do on my tongue, 2 or 3 pumps. You can take this as frequently as you need. I have some patients who like run through these in a week, but literally the Bach flowers are for those of us who are feeling the emotional and spiritual angst. And what I mean in that is that we're like thinking or overthinking like things, we're worried about things, we're feeling the emotional impact and that then has a physical impact. So sometimes our emotions can control our physical state. You can see that like white coat syndrome. Where people will get nervous, their heart rate increases, blood pressure increases. That's emotion driving, our involuntary systems. But the emotions are strong enough to skew that. So you can take the adrenal drops with the ashwagandha for adrenals. Yes, you can do the 2, Junie. So Bach flowers are great for folks that are dealing with any type of stress. And this is like for those of you who might have anxiety or depression, for those of you who might have had or currently have had a history of panic attacks, very beneficial. Trauma, PTSD, Bach flowers are these are my go-to for any of my military professionals that come back. And in Tampa, I used to work with a lot of the members, returning from, members on the base. We had an Air Force base, and it's where CENTCOM is housed. So we had a lot of individuals from all over that I worked with that were dealing with stress. And so this spray, they have them in drops. This is an alcohol base. They have non-alcohol. And I'm going to tell you, they have kids versions. So for kids that have difficulty focusing, they have one for that. Bach also has one for kids who can't sleep well, you get really emotionally charged. Gabriel has the little there's a tiny vial, alcohol free, and I give that to him right before bed. And, For us, he's never been a great sleeper, and I feel like that helps him sleep. It calms him down. He's in this weird growth phase. I swear, he's like the temper tantrums, his mind and his body are all growing, lots of adjustments, and we're trying to limit the stress on him. We can't forget about the kids in the current state. The virus is stressing kids out. Yeah, Junie loves Rescue Remedy. How often to take the Adrenal Drops a day? So let's see, Adrenal Drops. You could take like 2 to 3 doses a day. So I just kind of space it out, right when you wake up in the morning, or if you're going to do something stressful, like for many of us now, going into public is stressful, or you feel stressed when you get back to your car because nobody's wearing a mask. And you're like, what is wrong with people? So you can have this for those specific times, but you can kind of divide it out through the day. Okay, so oh, and futuristic, I don't have that symbol on my options. Okay, so one of the things that I'm seeing some questions about folks that have the little emoji after their name on YouTube, those are little emojis that are assigned to all of our YouTube members. And so if you become a member, it's $4.99 a month, totally supports our channel. You get these little emojis, and it changes. So for new members, they have a certain emoji, and then a month, I think 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then I think up to 2 years or 5 years. The longest emoji is going to be a rose glitter emoji of our logo. So I basically took our logo and divided out those little signs, as you can kind of see back there. It's hard to see on YouTube, but on Instagram, that's what we see on YouTube. Okay, so let me repeat these, and they're on down below. Inflame X is what I recommend. This brand, Zealand, I love them. That's where I use their vitamin D3 supplements. So I really think their D3 is the best. And they've got up to 50,000 IUs in a single capsule. That's pretty amazing for those of you that are really low level on vitamin D. Next up is the Pure Encapsulations, Nitric Oxide Ultra. And then the third one is Vitamin K2, Douglas Labs. The fourth one is Professional Formulas. I love this brand. They have Adrenal Drops. For anybody, like they've got no sods. They've got it for Lyme. They've got it for any type of autoimmunity, immune-oriented. This is a great, great company. And then the last one is Bach flowers. They have the Pastels. And, oh, here they are. Gabriel, he moves these all the time. But they also have the Pastels. If you guys were watching, I think on Friday, or I think it was Friday, he loves, this is what they have little Pastels. These are little suck-ons. And they have the black currant. That's my favorite, but they have orange, and then they have like a normal one. So those are my 5 recommendations. Like if you want to kind of equip your body so that you minimize inflammation levels, you really help support your vascular channel, kind of offset any cardiovascular grief you might be dealing with or want preventative, those are helpful. The K2 is very helpful. And then the adrenal stress drops and the Bach flower for more of the everyday stress. Markets of Sunshine says Professional Formulas is a great company. Yeah, I have Lyme disease and I've used their products in the past. Yeah, their products are great. Let's see. Bach flower drops have a website. Yeah, so I would love for you to purchase through our store. That supports me now that I'm working in this capacity. So I do make a commission off that, and that does help me give you guys free content. So I'd encourage you to check out Full Script down below. I appreciate that. And I am Mordini. I've heard conflicting info about elderberry. What do you think? So elderberry, yeah, you're going to hear a lot of conflicting info. But elderberry has been linked to having some beneficial aspects that help reduce some of the cytokine impact. I actually have a video, I want to say it was like 6 weeks ago now, about elderberry and some other aspects that people are kind of curious about. Oh, Futuristic joined. Yay, we have a new YouTube community member. Woo woo. Welcome to the community. How exciting. So what happens if you're asymptomatic and you give blood? Well, I honestly can't confirm this. So I see a little man's coming in. Hey, buddy. You going to come in? You want to say hi to everybody? Oh, he wants, that's so funny. We were just talking about these. Here, come say hi to everybody. Come here. Come here. Okay. Here. I know. Mommy's got some stuff on the floor. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
He's got remnants of breakfast on his face. So let's see here. You want your suck on? Okay. So the question was, okay, so I can't confirm this and I'll look into it. Thanks, bud. I'll be in there in a minute. Okay. Will you close the door, sweetheart? Thank you. Can't confirm this, but I have a feeling if people are giving blood, they're probably testing them for COVID. Blood would be contagious. And so I don't know, I would imagine that's part of the screening. You guys are so sweet. He's so cute. This weekend was like riddled with just insane emotional dips. And so I'm having a tough time with that as a parent. But he is a sweetheart. Futuristic $10 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Markets of Sunshine. I'm in the full script store and not seeing the Adrenal Drops from Professional Formulas. Just search Adrenal. You can search by category, but I know it's there. They have it. But if you can go by manufacturer. So you can go into Professional Formulas, and then you can also search by category. So there's a lot of different ways to get it. But if you don't find it, I'll make sure that the link is working on the description box below. How do you become a YouTube team member? I don't know what that question is, David. But I've been on YouTube. We're coming up on 6 years for this channel. So let's see. Any other news I want to share with you? I think that's it. Full scripts, the sale's on. I've got to send out some emails. Took fully the day off yesterday with Father's Day, so I got to get my head back in the zone. We had Brian's parents over yesterday. It was blazing hot out. But I've started a new garden, so I'm going to post that on the side. And Brian stained some of the wood. We've got we have these weird like angled backyard, but he tiered my garden bed, and we've transferred some plants and stuff. And he stained it this beautiful gray. So I don't know if you guys have ever done staining of wood in your gardens and stuff, but holy cow, it looks so amazing. I actually want to change all the other stains in our yard to that gray. It looks just gorgeous. So, I think David's asking, how do you join as a member? Oh, okay. Yeah. So to join as a member on YouTube, if you go to just my regular YouTube channel, if you're subscribed, it'll say subscribe, but there's a join button. So you click the join button. I hope that helps. But yeah, so if you go to just my main YouTube channel, the join allows you to get access. Taryn G, what can I take to replace aldactone hormonal? I'd have to know what else you're taking. That's a hard question to answer. Okay, you found it. All right. So which would you recommend for me with Lyme disease? Adrenal liquescence, adrenal cortex? I don't know enough Markets of Sunshine. I would just do the adrenal drops initially. With the adrenal cortex, you'd want to run a cortisol test to see how well you are. That would be more for like adrenal burnout. So yay, Anita, shopping, you need lipstick. Yeah, so anything you need, any supplements you need, it is on sale, 25% off in my full script store. Links down below. Instagram, my bio, that link takes you right on into full script. So check that out. Oh, futuristic, $3 super chat. I appreciate that. Okay, so I've got to run. Instagram's wrapping up. That's going to be now Instagram TV, where it's now being permanently housed. I've got a playlist that's running. Tune in tomorrow. We'll talk about more news. I'm hoping we have more scientific news, and I'm curious to see what happens with the CDC and the face mask research. I think that will be helpful. I think it also will help mayors and council members to be a little bit more proactive in mandating and requiring if they have more scientific data. So we just have to fight the good fight, be safe ourselves, encourage safety amongst our friends and family. And so the help that I can offer to all of you and your family is if you hit the like, give me a thumbs up, everybody, and hit the share button. You can share on Instagram, you can share here on YouTube, you can share it on Facebook. There's all sorts of ways you can email it. But I really appreciate it. And also trying to build up LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn account's a disaster. I need some help on that. But at any rate, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Pat, for being our moderator, for all of you joining. I appreciate our live chats. It's always something that I'm grateful for. And check out our sale on FullScript. All right, everybody, have a good day. See you later. All right, I'll see you guys YouTube tomorrow. Bye.